Let's talk about transform tools that you can rotate, change the position, change the pivot of any object that you select in scene. For better understanding that, I use Studio Render because you can now access a small area with a small object, just it's using for a render. If you select your object in your scene, you can see the gizmo will be pop up. This is a gizmo, and with Alt you can rotate. Any object in a scene has an gizmo if you select, and a simple box that you can simply scaling object like this. And look at here. I want to explain this. This is an animation. This is a numeric I tell transfer tools. You can change the position, you can change the orientation, you can change the size, you can share it, you can change the pivot of that. You can access your gizmo here. Simply you can move it up in X, in a Z, Y, and in a X. The X anywhere in the software is red, Y is yellow, and the Z is blue. If you want to, if you drag and drop it, it's proportionally change its size. But if you don't want, you can move it something like that. So this is you can change the size of your object based on your view. You can see based on your camera. It's always perpendicular to your camera. But if you don't want to do that, you can access the move tool here. You can access the rotation here. You can rotate your object. You can access your scale. And now with this, you can change the handle size relative to its object. It's relative to the view. It's relative to its own axis object. Or if you're going most, you can change the size object based on these two axes. Or you can move it based on these two axes. Or you can rotate it based on camera or free. So three main things here. But the settings of that it's a global. It means if you rotate object, the axis always lock to global. If you the software gizmo is always Z in up, perpendicular X, and in this direction. It's always this direction. But if you change it to local, it will be changed. It orient, it rotates with the rotation of the object. If you rotate your object, the handles will be rotate. For example, if you rotate, you can see the handles are changing. But look at that. If you change it to the global, it's always sticking perpendicular to the word of the software. So if you change to this, or it's better to see that. Look at this. It's a parent and it is a view. If you take it view, it's always the z-axis is pointing to your camera. The z-axis is pointing to your camera. If you set to the parent, for copying object, you can Control C and Control V, or you can pick one of these handles and then holding your Alt, and now we are copying. So you can see we have two objects. You can see this object is in this direction and this object is in, for example, this direction. If you set to the parent, you can see if you do, for example, local, you can see if you holding shift and you can select two objects together. Okay. And the gizmo will be something like that. But if you make it the parent, it's stick on a parent. And if you rotate, it's rotate based on the parent. But if you change to, for example, local, and the gizmo will be, if you set it to the parent, the gizmo will be rotate and align with the first object selected. For example, this is and something like that. You can see it's a parent. If you're local, it will change. Or if you select this object that in this direction, first object, select it and make it the parent. You can make it the global, local, and the parent. Parent means these buttons position, scale, and rotate are based on the parent, if you want, or simply local. You can see they are moving together. But if you set to the local, they are separately rotate. So local, any way that you want, you can use it. And okay, if you select it, okay, this is our object. You can rotate it to see its gizmo. But if you want to use more advanced things, you can set it here. It's very simple. You can go to the position and click and drag to the Z. You can see you can simply change Z, or in meter you can type any number in X, Y, and Z. Or if you want to select here and move to two axes together. Let's make it bigger to better see these gizmos. So X. You can go into the orient. You can rotate it in any angle that you want. Very simple. By click and drag, or add any number that you want. Make them all 0, 0, 0. If you want to back your defaultity, you can scale it. And here, if you go to the scale, we have other tools here. If you turn it off, you can display true object dimension in a meter, or you can see it's not true. It's based on relative to the object. It is better. It's true object, because in a view, we are using the true dimensional object, for example, landscape. And if you change one size, for example, this number, you can see it change independently. But if you lock them together, if you change a number, something like this, you can see all of the objects are changing based on this, because they are locked together. It means this shape will be locked and all of the axes are changing proportionally. And here, if you do activate resize, if you resize around this, you can see if this mode is turned on, it's resizing based on the corner. But if you turn it off, it's resizing based on middle of the object. You can see based on middle, or if you turn it, it's based on corner. Either these two. You can see it's based on. But if you turn on, it's changing individually based on this corner. And another interesting thing is to shear. You can shear your objects. For example, in Z-axis, you can see you can shear it in X or Z axis. And the most important thing here is a pivot. The pivot is center of the object. You can see it's the center of your object. If you want to change your pivot of your object, it's rotate, it's move based on center. Turn on this eye, and this blue dot will be appear here, and you can move the pivot. Make sure that you are snapping to your object. Click it, and you can change the pivot object. And then if you go to turn it off, if you rotate it, you can see it's rotate based on that pivot point. Turn it on, you can also just you can move this pivot point. Yeah, you can see, you can move this pivot point. You can move this pivot point relative to its object or not, based on center of your software. That's relative is better. And here you can reset it. If you left click, reset pivot to object orient, or if you right click, reset object pivot based on to center of the object. Left click, right click, you can reset your object based on your desire. And that's it. It's very simple, this changing. And you can move or use these gizmos in any object in a scene. For example, trains or anything. Look at that. Again, this is a welcome screen. I simply move this to this scene and select it. You can see we have all these gizmos and all these things for any object. For example, you want to change the height of this object, you can simply go to the scale and scale it down based on the pivot point of that. Or you can simply use these options. Interesting. And move the bigger object like landscape.